What's up? What's up, everybody? This is your man, Inspirational Rob. Well, we have a great topic on tap for you today. It might be a little controversial, maybe just a tad bit, but it's going to be good and you're not going to want to miss this. But before we get to this topic at hand, I want to remind you, as always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Please subscribe. It helps the algorithm, it helps us grow. We're going to grow together, but we need for you to subscribe. Many of you have been watching, and I so appreciate that. But you know how much? I would appreciate it so much more that you not only watch, but that you would subscribe. And we want you to like, and we want you to comment. We want you to engage. We want this channel to grow. I've been getting comments and DMs and that sort of thing, and people saying just how much they've just been blessed, quite honestly, by this channel, and you've been helped in that. And so I'm helping people, but you're also helping me to grow this channel. But we are helping one another. Okay, so like, comment, subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Thank you so much for those of you that have already done so. And I thank you in advance for those that haven't and that are planning to do so. So we're getting right to this topic today. I'm going to get right to it. Close the doors. Close the doors. I said close the doors. Well, that's been a phrase that's been going on for the last couple of weeks, few weeks, and there's been memes galore about this pastor who said to it was a conference, and the pastor was taking up an offering, and he was collecting the offering, and while the offering was being taken up, he admonished, or he asked the ushers to close the door. Suddenly he said, "Close the doors, close the doors." And for some reason, that particular it went viral. And I heard that this particular event was happened a couple years ago. I'm not sure if that's true, but I think it must be, because I heard that from a few different sources, that particular conference was like a couple years ago. And for some reason, somebody saw it and they posted it, and it got reposted and then reposted, and then it went viral. Well, I want to talk about that today, because it's how we were brought up, where we grew up, what environment we grew up in, what culture we grew up in, what church environment we grew up in. That's going to determine what we think about this whole thing. Whether we were offended by it or not, by this pastor. Full disclosure, I know this pastor. We're friends. We're mutual friends in that, and I know him. And but what we think about what happened here is going to greatly be shaped by how we were brought up, culturally, environmentally. Because quite frankly, I was not horribly offended by it. As a matter of fact, I was not offended by it, because the church environment that I grew up in, I mean, what he did was small potatoes. I mean, it was like nothing. I mean, because I've been in the church environment where pastors and preachers, and I'm not saying that it's right, I'm just saying this is how I grew up, where they begged for money. I mean, begged. And not, I mean, this was 20, 30, 40 years ago, where they just beg money, to the point where you're just like, oh, come on. And what I saw, now I didn't see I'm not saying I did not see the full video about this pastor here. I didn't see the full video, but based on what I saw, he wasn't asking for much of anything. Not really. In this day and time, he's asking for $20, I believe, from the people in the audience, in the congregation. $20 because he was trying to raise, I think, $40,000. I think greatly in part to pay for the expenses for this conference. And I think it was probably, from what I heard, 4,000 people in the audience. So if there were 4,000 people there, if everybody gave $20,000, you do the math, and basically, he was asking for $40,000. And I think my math is off a little bit. I think if it's 4,000 people, if each person gave $10,000, I believe that would be more like 4,000. But you get it. What I'm saying, $20,000 is not a whole lot of. I mean, I'm sorry, $20 is not a whole lot of money to ask in this day and time. And he joked about it. He joked about the fact that $20 is not much. And I would say this: when he said close the doors, I said close the doors. It was kind of tongue in cheek, but he was serious, but it was kind of tongue in cheek at the same time. That fodder in the black church, that kind of brashness, it's something that we just all kind of grew up in, and it was just something that we did. I'm not saying that it was the best tactic or the best thing to do or it was the grandest thing. I'm not saying that, but it's kind of like what we did. And so he even joked about $20 not being that much money. He said words to the effect that his late wife and he, when they went out, when they were dating, that $20 bought, tickets to a movie and popcorn, and that was a date. $20 could pay for a date. Back then, 20 years ago or so ago, he was stating. And that's pretty true. Um, I remember, the $1,000 lines in church. Unfortunately, I remember those times where the pastors would, the pastors or the preacher taking the offering would wait and wait and wait and wait until they got what they wanted. It was just like, and this is not what was going on with this particular pastor here. I mean, he just said it. He just put it out there, and and he wasn't begging and he wasn't prodding. He just kind of threw it out there. I thought he was respectful. And I think he was kind of joking and kind of being kind of brash. And when he said close the doors, I said close the doors. And I mean, that's nothing. I mean, I'm serious. Not saying that it's right, but what I'm saying, that's nothing compared to what I've experienced and what most people in the black church have experienced. I remember, I just heard a couple of days ago, I heard the gospel artist Dietrich Haddon say, and I thought it was really profound and I thought it was really good. He said, he said that there are three things, uh, there are three things that are sacred, and no, he said there were three things. How did he put that? He said there are three times, rather, that you don't move in the black church. There are three times where you don't move in the black church. He said that's when he said that's when you're praying, when the prayer is going on, when there's an altar call, or when there's a call of salvation, when they're asking people if they want to be born again and commit their life to Christ. And then the third one is when they're taking up an offering, a time of giving. Those are the three times: prayer, salvation call, and a time of giving. Those are the three times in the black church traditionally is when we don't move. Any person that raised in the traditional black church will tell you that. That is a sacred time traditionally in the black church. And all he was doing, from my vantage point, was holding true to that tradition. And apparently people were moving, and he wanted to put a halt to that. and a stop to that. And he also said that it was a security, it was for security reasons. And to be honest with you, that's a pretty good reason to keep people from moving. And when you close those doors in the church, and especially in the traditional churches, in that setting, what you're telling the ushers is to do is to close the doors so the people who are outside of those doors, they stay out, and the people who are in, they stay in. He didn't say, from what I can gather, stay in and you must give. It just says close the doors so that we can control movement. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, we could argue about how he said it. We could argue about whether that was tactful or not. But the purpose of it, I have no problem with. Um, I believe also that he was just, it was more, while he was saying it, I think he was serious about closing the doors, but I thought he also was trying to bring some levity to it, some levity to it, some humor to it. While he was being stern about it, I think he was bringing some humor to it as well, as to put a little bit of salve on it so that it's not as brash. And so I think that might have come come off as a little bit being a little bit arrogant. And maybe he wasn't being arrogant at all. Maybe he was just trying to make it a little bit light, maybe lighten the moment as he was being stern and being direct. Just think about that. What do you think? Like, comment, uh, just like and make and comment. Give a thumbs up if you agree, a thumbs down if you disagree. No, all thumbs ups only. But no, we want you to comment. Please comment. I want to know what you think about this, because I mean, I think if we talk about it and communicate about it, I think we could get to some sort of agreement or conclusion without having to bash people and denigrate people and I will say this too. Um, Regardless of what we might think about the way he conducted this service, I would have to say that everybody would have to admit that asking for $20 from people to fund this particular event, this conference, was not a whole lot of money in the grand scheme of things. And from what I could see, he didn't even beg for it, which I see far too often in our churches, which I think is egregious. I didn't see that here. I think we all can agree to that. Um, and I'm totally against pastors uh, begging for money. I listen here. I want you to hear this, and I want you to really hear what I'm saying here. I'm totally against pastors begging for money, especially if it's for selfish gain and to line their own pockets. Okay, and so that they can benefit financially. That is totally wrong. Okay, totally wrong. And if you're from, you know, uh, if you're not from the black church, African American church, or the traditional black or African American church, and if you're white, Caucasian, and in seeing something like that could rattle you a little bit. I'm just trying to bring a little bit of insight to what is going on. But to my white brothers and sisters, I want our black brothers and sisters to understand rather that in the white church, they're going to get their money to fund their services and to fund their churches for operational reasons and causes. They're going to get their money. They may not get it the same way the black churches get it, but they're going to get it. They're going to get that money. They might do it in a whole different way, in a whole different manner, but they're going to get that money. Trust me. Okay? But we don't see necessarily, we don't really see them castigating and calling out our white brothers like we do see our black brothers many times. I don't see it as nearly as much. And that's not to let these black ministers off the hook for what they do. I am not saying that because it bothers me to no end to see what they do and how they do it. It bothers me. But what I am saying is, let's see others being called out the same way too. Okay. Um, but tell me what you think about this whole close the door thing, because I believe it's it how you view what happened in this particular situation largely will be how you were raised and the culture you were raised and how what type of church you grew up in. Okay, because the traditional black church is just the way we did things, and I'm not saying that it's right. Some of that stuff needs to be cleaned up, but from what I saw, what this pastor did, I didn't see anything egregious. I just really didn't. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. But based on what I saw, based on where I came from, I didn't see much. Uh, I didn't see anything that was just over the top or egregious at all. Tell me what you think. Like, comment, and we need for you to subscribe. Uh, this is a really um, controversial thing. It's going on. I mean, it's sweeping the nation. And I typically don't like commenting and talking about things like this because in most cases, it's not very productive. But I'm thinking I thought to myself, maybe me talking about it, especially being in the spiritual realm and the things that I do from a religious standpoint, I thought that it might be probably uh, uh, maybe beneficial for me to give my opinion and what I thought about what happened. As a matter of fact, I'm fairly neutral about this, but I'm giving you my opinion about. Um, I'm giving my opinion, um, but I mean, we could get deeper into the weeds. I choose not to. But tell me what you think about this. It's deep stuff. Maybe we'll do a part two. Hopefully we won't have to because maybe this stuff will just pass and we'll all grow from this. I think we can grow. I want to say this. I think we can grow from this. I think all sides can grow. I think we can learn some things. Maybe if you ask this pastor, maybe if you were to ask him, could he have done some things differently? He would probably say yes. He probably would say yes because we could all grow and maybe do things differently. Um, Especially if we're going to hurt people. We don't want to hurt people. We don't intentionally want to hurt anybody. And if we could keep from hurting someone and making someone feel bad about a situation, then if we could change that, then we should. Then we should. Okay? So hopefully we learn something about this thing and we all can get better. And let's just see where this goes. Hopefully it gets better. Hopefully we all get better. Okay? Listen, this is Inspirational Rob. You've been watching Rob Talk. We'll see you next week. Same place, same time. Like, comment, and we want you to please subscribe. You know what to do.